But we put those in place in the event, preparedness, that we have to use that office for days on end because we have no power up here at our house.
And we needed the water for the toilets. Welcome to Simple Sense. And we had to take off last week because we had to attend a funeral. And speaking of more sad news, we want to extend our thoughts, prayers, and hoping everyone is well and safe in the path of Hurricane Ida and the flooding that happened
Devastating.
all the way up the East Coast. Just lives were lost and property damage sustained. It's really sad. We just want to extend our deepest condolences to those who may be grieving and wishing you peace and prayers.
Topic of today's Simple Sense is climate change preparedness for your small business. And we kind of hit on the idea because I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, well, I'm a small business. What can I do? There's nothing I can do to prepare my business for climate change. But actually, today's Simple Sense, we're going to outline a couple of simple things you can do to prepare.
I also want to remind you or alert you, if you didn't already know, Trevor, that September is Disaster Preparedness Month. And
I did not know that.
And being in the insurance field, and with this being the high time of hurricanes, it's also Life Insurance Awareness Month, just to put that in there because of my insurance background. What you're talking about is true. It's like, okay, climate change, how do we control that?
It's so overwhelming to think of it on a large scale, but actually there are definitely things you can do at your small scale to be prepared for it.
I think this is apropos to the overall situation with disaster, that being COVID, and us being specialists with the SBA EIDL loans. Businesses experience devastating, disastrous business results, loss of income, revenue. Oh, I see your face. But what I'm trying to say is,
sometimes you go for the alliteration.
I
It
know.
kind of goes on and on.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, is there a point here?
Are you snoozing with your eyes open? The thing is, if COVID taught us nothing, is to understand how to prepare for possible worst case scenarios.
Well, you've been saying that since early days of COVID.
Yeah.
There's no other time that teaches you that there are things you should have prepared for and I's to be dotted, T's to be crossed about your business. The COVID-19 pandemic certainly should have taught you that. And that's why we're talking today about climate change and how it affects your business and simple things you can do. So can I check off the list first and then we can go into them?
Yes, but I want to just...
You want to interrupt me?
I do. I want to reiterate, when you say, Trevor, climate change, yes, there are some global conditions that are happening, but it doesn't always mean that it's related to the weather. It means how to protect your business in the event the weather impacts you, like having no power or a storm hitting your building or a wildfire. But go ahead with your checklist.
Number 1 is insurance.
Okay.
Do a review of your insurance. Number 2, create a disaster preparedness plan. Put it in writing. Things that include the other items on our checklist, such as, what about your staff?
Mm-hmm.
What accommodations, provisions are you making if your staff cannot travel to your place of employment?
Again, because...
separate from COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. If your staff cannot travel to your place of employment because roads are flooded or they have challenges at home that they cannot leave the house. Likewise with your customers. How about creating some messaging in advance, templates that you can then post about, this is what's happening with our business today or this week or this month because of the recent storm or fire or whatever. Likewise with vendors and suppliers for your business.
Also cloud-based, what information is where and how secure is
your
it?
Your IT backup plan. So there's my Simple Sense checklist.
When I was still in the insurance business and had my agency, there were times, often with weather-related incidents, that we had to be proactive with how to handle if something were to happen to you, your family, your property, your home, whatever. And also to alert them if we're closed because of the weather as well, how they can get in touch with a toll-free hotline kind of thing for mitigating damage.
Funny you bring it up about your previous business, because now thinking about 2 specific episodes of my mortgage career. One, when I was working for a mortgage company early 2000s. This was a company out in Long Island. It was a heavy snowfall. And I remember leaving the office to go out and make sales calls and realizing the driving was very rapidly, the conditions were deteriorating rapidly, and that I was not going to be making the sales call. So I made a decision, okay, I'm heading home. But I realized there were still people working back at the office. So I called the owner of the company and I told him, hey, listen,
Yeah.
this is what's happening out here. As a result of my call, actually, he sent people home early that day. But why did it take me making that phone call?
Oh,
Right?
yes.
And then there was another episode with a company, another mortgage company I worked for, where a storm had wiped out electrical service to an entire section of the town the office was located. It was in a giant office building. The building's generators were not sufficient, and the business couldn't open for several days. And there was nothing. The company had no preparedness, no messaging, not even proper IT backup, so that when
Yeah.
power came back on, there were all kinds of IT issues for continuing weeks. And it's just absurd that these two companies didn't take, and this is just based upon normal storms and a normal snowstorm. This is not even like kind of devastating. Ida tore through the south of the United States or the northeast of the United States.
It takes a little bit of compassion and thinking outside of oneself, which is why you had struggles with your previous employers, to, really kind of understand some of the ramifications of devastating disasters. As we close this out with our wealth and hellness, I get these kind of emails all the time from business owners who are waiting on the SBA to get their funding. They're like, I blood, sweat, and tears into this business. This business is my baby, and I'm watching it just deteriorate away, and I need the funding. If that is your sentiment for your business, maybe your rock bottom isn't where you're being evicted or you have no lines of credit or you've depleted your savings. But, what happens if it did, because your business fundamentals, your foundation, your infrastructure weren't operating correctly or efficiently? What would you do? And how would that affect you? You have to think of these things every level of accessing your systems and operationally and your human
So our wealth and
resources.
wellness section essentially is saying to you, by taking a small amount of time out of your day or week or month to create a preparedness plan, you're going to maintain the continuity of your business through challenges faced by weather, and your staff and your customers and your suppliers and vendors, all of that, and your IT, by taking these few simple steps now, which will not only improve or maintain your wealth through a storm or other type of natural disaster, but also
Mitigate.
your hellness
Yeah.
will be dramatically reduced, because in that moment of truth, you won't have to be worried as much as many other people who are not prepared about how your business is going to survive through this.
Here's a challenge for you, the hellness. We're seeing how most businesses that we've dealt with for the EIDL loan, and just in general, previous business loans, they didn't have a business plan. So I challenge you to even take that extra step on having a disaster preparedness plan. You don't have a business plan, just do them both and attack both of them at the same time to have some semblance of order for yourself. If you value your business and you're loyal to your business and you're loyal to your vendors and suppliers and employees and staff, you owe it to your business to do these things.
You owe it to your state of mind and your wealth. Preparedness, maybe Linda and I come from a different world than you do, dear listener, in terms of preparedness. Linda hired an organizer who came to our house last week to organize our basement. Since we moved here 5 years ago, we repository of stuff in the basement, and it just, especially with how hard we're working through the pandemic, we don't have time to
And the garage.
So we hired this gal, and as she went through with us, we did kind of a tour of the piles, so she knew what and how to organize and what was garbage. But she saw these bottles, these milk bottles filled with water on the floor in a corner.
Oh, yeah.
She said, okay, well, what are those? She goes, that looks like that can go. I said, no. That's water we've saved up in the event of storm damage and we lose power, then we can flush our toilets. We went through that with that Storm Isasis. We couldn't flush our toilets. And, oof,
Well, we didn't
that
have
was-
power for a whole week.
Yeah,
And
that was nasty.
our office is 6.5 miles away. So it's a 10-minute drive. The building where we have our office did not lose power. And
That was a godsend.
that was like its own mini backup. They had power, they had water, there was a full bath in the second floor where our office was, so we could shower. There was air conditioning because it was summer.
Yeah, and as a result of that, us staying there for a while, so we went out and we equipped the office with things that many normal offices have. I say normal because we don't really use our office a lot, but like microwave, a mini refrigerator.
Coffee machine.
We didn't have those things because we didn't need them, because where our office is located, we're right in the middle of town. We can walk to anything, restaurants or whatever. But we put those in place in the event, preparedness, that we have to use that office for days on end because we have no power up here at our house.
Our next upgrade is actually we're having a generator installed in November. So, I mean, these are things that, yes, do these things cost money, having an office?
But failing to prepare can
Yeah.
cost you substantially more.
That is true.
Whether it's the continuity of the business, profitability and wealth of your business, or the hellness you're going to go through because you didn't take a few minutes to prepare. So simple sense, get it done, man. Make your life a little easier.
And this is we did another video where you chunk down the tasks. First, think about, compartmentalize or segment your business to see what, if impacted, would be devastating to your bottom line, to your bank account, and then sort of backtrack into the things you could be doing. Do you have cloud-based databases and servers and such?
Battery backup.
Battery backup.
Computers.
Does your staff have the ability to work from home and be equipped accordingly with systems and, computers and networks and stuff?
This gal over here on my right, and you can't see her, so you don't know if she's really on my left or not, but she's really on my right, is Linda Ray, and I'm Trevor, and we're Aurora Consulting.
This is Simple Sense for Small Business, where we share with you the mistakes we've made so you don't have to. And then, have more fun in your business with being prepared. See you next time.